Great. Okay, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 7:05. We have one board member who may still join us remotely, but we only have 4 board members in person, which means we don't have a quorum. So as I sent out a little while ago, as a reminder, we adopted the required open meeting law policy about this, which states that, you know, people can be remote for the meeting under extraordinary circumstances, but that we require a quorum in person in the public location that the public can join in order to convene an actual meeting. So we don't have a quorum, so this will be discussion only. I don't think there's anything that was critical to vote on this month, so we'll suspend any voting and we'll do all of that next month, and we'll just have this be a discussion tonight, I suppose. Does that sound right? People who know the rules better than I do?
Sounds perfect.
Okay. All right. So in that case, so we don't have to vote on an agenda or anything else. We can go.
We can do whatever we want.
Whatever we want. So what I'm going to suggest is, since we have Sandy Nathan joining us as a guest tonight, as part of our policy committee, and she sent out some really great detailed notes after reviewing the draft internet policy. I'm going to suggest we talk through that first, and then we can go through other highlights and let Sandy go at that point. So does everybody have a copy?
I didn't print it out, it's 21 pages.
Okay. So would you like a copy?
If you have an extra one, that would be fine.
Okay.
Print out everything
If
else.
you have 2 extra long ones, that would be like really fun.
Oh, you have
I'll go make a copy.
Oh.
I have a copy.
There's a printer right there. So while I do that, Sandy, do you want to just start with sort of giving a high level of your thoughts about it, and I will be right back.
Well, in what I wrote up, I went through the internet use policy kind of line by line, or really section by section, and where I found items that I thought the board should address or consider, I stopped. That became a section, generally speaking, and I wrote my comments. Sometimes I made minor or proposed minor changes to the text, and those I just went ahead and did. But there's a lot about the internet use policy that really is not appropriate for me to decide. You know, it's not within my authority, it's only within the board's authority. So I've set out what I think the issues are, and you know, I expect you will probably discuss how you want to resolve them, and then they can be written up. So I don't know, have you had an opportunity to read these? Most of it is not my observation. Most of it is just the policy that I'm addressing, the code of conduct, which I believe is another part of the board's policy. And the rest are documents or papers that were made public by the American Library Association. And I use those as a resource. I really didn't do any legal research. I think possibly some should be done, but the issues are really First Amendment issues, which we get into kind of an area of very.
Sandy, are you able to increase your volume? Because we were trying to increase the volume on our side, and
Sorry.
no.
No, I don't think so. I did.
Oh, okay.
I will speak up. I apologize. Anyway, starting on page 6, I begin to set out the policy in sections, and after each section, I've discussed what issues that I have found in the section preceding it. So, you know, I did this with red print, and when I when I printed it out, the red just seems to be sort of faded black. So I don't know how yours looks. I don't
Yeah,
know.
the same, but it's legible.
Okay, all right. So under purpose, I have made some minor changes. I don't know if you want to discuss them, but just in the first paragraph, I've decided, rather than continually repeat the Stephentown Memorial Library, I just thought after this paragraph, we should simply refer to it as library in capital L. And instead of saying the policy addresses access to and use of the internet, I propose it say governs access to and use of the internet. So I don't know if you need any more discussion on that. You're not voting on it now, I guess, so.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, both of those.
Okay, so then in my comments, I'm raising issues that I see. The first is in the third line, the Stephentown Memorial Library offers free access to the internet and electronic databases to all patrons and visitors to the library. So my question is, what does free mean in the third line? It's used to describe the nature of the access to the internet, but I think it's ambiguous. Does that mean there's no fee attached, or does that mean that the access is without limitation?
Means that it's free in terms of you don't have to pay for it. But
Okay, but my inclination would be to just make that clear, if everybody agrees that that's what it is. Yeah.
I think changing it to without charge makes sense.
Okay. Let me just, I have a lot of verbiage here, which I'll just skip over since this is most of it addresses without limitation. Then the next paragraph from the policy is access, and again, minor changes that in the text, just the library instead of repeating the Stephentown Memorial Library. And instead of saying that the library is available, or rather wireless network is available for use while the library is closed, I would just say outside, because I guess that access is available even when the library is open, right? It's not just when it's closed that it's available outside. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And again, I have a question about the use in the first line, offers free and unlimited access to the internet. Again, the question is the same. If free means unlimited, then it's redundant, or does it mean without charge again?
Yeah, I think we probably want to keep that consistent, that it's about charge, and not get into the difficulties of then what unlimited would mean.
Yeah,
We could say later where it is a little bit limited, so.
right, okay.
Offers without charge access to the internet. Is that what we're gonna say? Knock out unlimited?
So we would want to keep the without charge consistent
Yeah.
throughout.
And library offers without charge access to the internet. So take out the.
Well, I would say offers unlimited access to the internet.
Yeah, we should drop the unlimited.
yeah,
Right, yeah. Because it is limited.
Mhm.
Yes.
It is gonna be limited, yes.
Okay, so,
So,
If people don't behave, it will be.
well, also, you're gonna, is there some way you can block out going to, porn sites or whatever?
Well, yeah, there's a whole section here about filters and whether some libraries apply filters, right?
right, apparently, depending on your funding source, you may be required to impose filters, and I don't know much about them, but I gather they're in place to avoid having children look at child pornography or something that a court has found to be obscene, but that's later on in the, and I
Yeah.
think it pertains only to children.
Kim, do you know anything about it, about the cost of the filters and whether anybody's ever said you might want to look into that or?
I haven't, and I believe that most of the libraries in Upper Hudson system do not use filters from what I've been told. That could be wrong.
Okay,
Well, that certainly is the preference of the American Library Association, not to have any filters.
Right.
Okay, but I don't know if that's, what the library's funding source is and whether that might require it by law.
I've never heard of that before.
Well, I'm certainly no expert. I just rely on what the ALA wrote.
I don't
And-
think we are affected by that because we don't receive the federal funding through the act that you cite later. So I think because we just receive the public funding from the town and in our own.
Okay, all right, it's just an issue.
regulations and things that I don't think we're affected by that. So any decision I think on filtering software would be outside of the funding issue.
Okay.
It's helpful to know that's out there though, because you could see a scenario where I assume maybe some of the schools are affected by that. And where someone might question, well, how come the school has it, you don't have it or something like that. So it's good for us to have that on our radar.
Right, and you might want to nail down the funding or make, confirm that you're not required to have it. So you're prepared to respond to that issue in
Yeah.
specifics, right?
I really like the wording that you have on page 8, the suggestion to avoid inconsistencies with laptop computers and access to the wireless network via Wi-Fi, except as otherwise prohibited by law or by written library policies.
Okay, good. Let's see.
But I think maybe it should be official library policies because there's lots of written policies that haven't been approved, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what our term is, but it should be sanctioned or board sanctioned or whatever.
Well, yeah, then I would say, let's say that instead of official, because that just maybe begs the question again, what is official?
What does it mean? Yeah,
Library policies approved by,
by the board or something.
yeah.
Well, probably we should just tell you to, do we post them somewhere?
We should post them somewhere. They're not currently posted
So
somewhere.
they're secret policies.
They are.
So why don't we say either published or posted and make sure we post our policies?
Mhm.
Posted policies, approved and posted by the board?
Well, one would assume that whatever's posted is going to be
Approved.
our approved policies, unless Kim goes rogue on us.
Just wait, it's happening.
Did I include that unless Kim goes around?
We don't have any way to increase the volume, do we?
No, we don't have speakers for the, we don't have any other speakers we can attach to, Kim.
Oh, am I really?
In my office, you do, Jen, there's a little red speaker and there's wires that you can hook up.
I can hear
I'll
her.
look at it.
I can hear
You're taking
Kim
notes.
okay, it's,
I just so congested up here. I can sit close. That may make sense. And face my good ear.
well, no, my good ear is facing that direction, so. I can hear Tim. Tim, do you need me to write, sign some checks?
Nope, not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
It's hard to hear you and then I got this. Is that yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Should I wait till,
Yeah, I think it would probably.
okay,
She'll be right back, you're just getting the speaker.
So on page 8, we're still playing with that one, right? The library does not have control, right?
I was saying that I like the language that Sandy
Yeah.
recommends.
Yeah, that's good.
I think the language is fine, but we're assuming posted somewhere, we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's, I think, in the works, it just hasn't
Yeah.
been done yet.
Figure out where we're gonna put that.
I mean, all of the policies that we'll have will be put on the website. So people can look at them there, and then we'll have a physical copy either, in my office or behind the desk
Mhm.
so that it's accessible if someone says, can I see it?
You probably want to put the internet use policies by the computers.
I wouldn't, I'm having trouble with posted because you're, in a way, you're saying only those that have been posted. And you are also going to have them online. I would just say, maybe with another sentence saying these policies will be posted and are available online, because you're really just talking about where the public can review them. It's not really defining access.
Hey, Kim.
Yes. Yep. So you should be able to plug that into the into your computer, either by the USB or like the auxiliary cable.
Just need to turn the radio on. And then what?
Turn the knob to radio, then auxiliary or USB or Bluetooth, and then auxiliary.
Aux input mode.
That would be the one. I don't know if it'll work, but
Let's see if I have to change the.
We should change
It
the
should,
language.
computer should say some strange device just got plugged into. Yeah, like, that'll be fun. Episode of the Swedish Chef. What is that?
Okay, somebody on Zoom speak.
On Zoom speak.
Oh, that's better. Look at that.
Is it? Good. Okay, I'm sorry. If I'm,
Thank you for the patience.
So where were we? We're talking. Page 8.
right. I think we're just beginning policy. Just again, those are minor proposed changes for you to decide. I've just, except for et cetera, which maybe isn't minor, but I don't know honestly what et cetera means. And since the policy says that the library is responsible for what's on its social media pages, that is Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, I think maybe you want to be more specific than.
So I think we could also include YouTube, and I think that's all. We don't have Twitter, right?
Right.
we have a Twitter account, but I've never used it. But here's my question though. What happens if, if the next year we decide to go on to another social media platform, would we have to then change policy to include that and then accept it and, do all that stuff?
Or you could put, or any future social media platforms. Sorry.
No, I think the better practice is change it when we change it. I think
Yeah.
it's a really good idea to define what we're taking responsibility for and letting the people know.
Okay,
And to the extent we change it, we change it.
okay.
Well, even though Twitter hasn't been used since has it been approved by the board? I mean, would there be harm in including it? It doesn't mean you have to use it, or,
Yeah.
you know.
Can't hurt.
You could just Instagram, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Yeah.
Could do that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Instead of et cetera, you go YouTube and Twitter.
Okay, then you're taking responsibility for all of the stuff, and that's fine. As long as you take responsibility for it.
Right.
Our Twitter account, nobody else's, our Twitter account.
Not Elon Musk's Twitter account.
Nobody else.
Yeah, so the following, the library does not have control over information that can be accessed over the internet. I think I have one proposed change, but it's really minor. The library is replacing unable with, the library is unable to ensure with the library, or from the library is not able to ensure. I also, in this section, I don't know if it's just me, which is why I sort of posed it as a question, but I found the wording, the library is not able to protect against illegal use of the internet. Nevertheless, illegal use of the internet, and then I've left out some words, is prohibited. That sort of, I found that it might be confusing. And I wondered if adding the word all, the library is not able to protect against all illegal use of the internet, if that makes it clear. And I really was confused myself.
Just saying basically that we're not foolproof, but it is our intention, yeah.
Right, because it's like if we become aware of such,
Right.
we'll act on, but we can't
That's what it is.
guarantee.
Yeah, we're not promising that we can.
Mhm.
So do you think that takes care of it? I'm not,
I think the addition of all makes sense to me.
Me too.
okay.
You're making eyes.
What experience have we had in connection with any illegal use of the internet?
None.
So we really don't have any basis to say any of this stuff. All or some, we just don't know. I mean, the point I think was, not that, I don't know who wrote this, but I think it was just basically saying that we'll use our best efforts to prevent the use of the illegal use of the internet, but we don't undertake nor are we able to police or enforce. I mean, that's effectively what we're saying.
Except we are saying that if we
Aware.
become aware
Well, we use our
that
best
that the
efforts to do what we can.
librarians will enforce it.
But it doesn't mean we'll be successful.
No, of course not, yeah, which is why the all was recommended, I think, that we can't. Or we don't want to say we can't catch most.
Well,
That doesn't sound like we're making our best.
Well,
effort.
when you say, we won't do it all, we have no experience with any of this stuff. There's an implicit assumption in saying that, well, we catch some, but we can't promise to do it all. It's just it suggests a more robust enforcement policy when we have no experience. I don't think it's misleading. I think it's fine, however we state it.
So with or without is fine by you.
Yeah. I mean, I think the point is, we'll go after it if we're aware of it, but we
We are never aware.
can't ensure, but we can't ensure
We're not saying.
complete enforcement.
No, we're not saying we're
No,
in that sentence.
we're just saying, once we know about it, we're gonna try to shut it down. Anything we can do.
We reserve the right to do something about it. We don't say
Right.
we're going to. We reserve the right.
And, in a way, you're putting the public on notice that there is such a thing, if they don't already know, as illegal use of the internet.
Mhm.
I want to go back to note 3. I don't know, somewhere, which looks like I didn't put in here, is in the paragraph governing access to the internet. It says that computer terminals are limited to 2 users at a time. I mean, I guess it makes sense that that's part of access, but I also wondered whether it should be instead in the code of conduct, which really needs to be updated, I think, a lot.
I think it's more of a code of conduct thing, because I think it's more about trying to limit like rowdiness at computer terminals, my impression.
You don't really want people playing video games.
Yeah, you don't want a whole bunch of people. I think it's more about behavior that way than some sort of higher level access intent.
Those rowdy octogenarians are,
Well,
just want to keep them off,
we do have a few of those.
just want to keep them off the web.
The bingo sites.
Emails about it.
Poker, I don't know.
So I think where it lives makes sense in terms of how I understand that it's.
Yeah, it's crowd control.
Okay, so you think it should be relocated, okay. So in the policy, the library does not have control over information that can be accessed over the internet. In that paragraph, there's a reference to the library's behavior policy. And I assume, and I don't really know whether that's the case, whether that is really referring to the policy, a copy of which I have, that is entitled Code of Conduct. Is it?
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it needs
So
to be changed.
that should be changed. Now the code of conduct, I think is really, I don't know, it seems to be a miscellaneous catalog of, let's put it here because it doesn't easily belong anywhere else. And it really lists prohibited and approved patron conduct, authority that the library and staff may exercise in response to patron conduct, responsibility that the library does not have, punishment that may be imposed for violations of the code of conduct, and provision for review of punishment and reconsideration of the punishment imposed. I think it might be helpful if kind of all the violations, I mean, I would say that somewhere in the code of conduct, there should be a statement or provision that any violation of any policy is prohibited, and here are the consequences. Here's the possible here are the punishments that you risk in engaging in these prohibited conducts. Here is the, I mean, it's so, I don't know if you want to get real legalistic, but here are the procedures. If you object to the punishment that was imposed, this is what you can do for reconsideration. And here are the people who can decide the initial punishment, and here are the people who can reconsider that punishment. And I would think that would all be, that might be set out in the code of conduct. But I think that's for discussion. That's a big That's a lot of discussion, I would think. So I just threw that in here because it's, you know, it does involve access to the internet, but it involves much more. And one thing that I would urge is that if the internet use policy is going to be concerned with some kind of prohibited behavior, that the code of conduct be uniform in its consideration of the same kind of behavior, the same thing, whatever is prohibited in the internet use policy, it shouldn't be smaller in the code of conduct, and probably shouldn't be larger either. They should really echo each other, so there's no ambiguity about what's okay and what's not okay. It's okay in one policy, but not okay section, but not in another. And one of the problems here, I think, is that I think some behavior has been prohibited when the patron uses library computers, but it hasn't been prohibited when the patron uses his or her own computer. And another aspect of the problem is that the assumption is that whatever offense that the patron might engage in, it would be the object or the person who was offended would probably be another patron or staff. But we know that people engage in bullying, and the person who's being bullied could be, 15 miles away. So I think that needs to be revised to reflect that, that it's really much broader. And you might want to read that.
Yeah, I think your suggestions make sense, both in terms of who, and then also the clarification of, not just library computers, but library, internet, blah, blah, blah. Makes sense.
And also
to clarify that.
applies to people using the internet resources who are sitting in the parking lot of the library, whether it's during library open hours or closed hours, as long as they're using library resources, they're subject to.
Yeah. Those suggestions make sense to me, and other people can jump in.
So you want our guidelines to apply to people if they're using their own computers with our Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
The only thing that
It says here, it says, it says all library rules and policies apply to Wi-Fi access from our facility.
The only qualm I have about that is I don't see how we could possibly monitor in any
Yeah,
way.
you're
or-
absolutely right, but I think making the statement that
That's
if you're
fine.
gonna use our facilities, while you're bullying and being.
And once again, if we become aware of it.
Pornoing
Yeah.
and so on and so
Yeah,
forth,
I-
which is
I-
probably more likely what they're
It's
doing in
it's hard to
parking
do,
lot.
but I think it's really good.
Okay, good. All right, so that seems like those make sense.
This is from a government official who doesn't enforce any number of laws which are on the books, but they're
You're
there
being
for a
recorded,
reason.
Scott.
Pardon?
You're being recorded, don't forget.
Well, I mean, it's discretion
Mhm,
and resource issue,
mhm.
but that doesn't mean that you don't prescribe bad conduct.
I mean, you still want the rules there.
Exactly.
I mean,
So I think you're right, Sam.
So the district attorney does not prosecute all violations of the criminal law. The district attorney has discretion about what to prosecute. So if you want to use an analogy. Okay. So here are some suggestions on page 10 of how to address the issues on the preceding page. So three suggestions at the top of page 10. I don't know if you want to review them now, or maybe we've already discussed it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, those make sense based on what we talked about.
Include intimidation, replace the code of conduct statement to include intimidation. Yep.
So then we go on to the last clause in the policy paragraph states that if the library becomes aware of such a violation, that is illegal use of the internet or use of the internet to injure or harass, the library reserves the right to limit or deny a patron's access to our computer resources, including the internet, through library computers. Yeah, okay, this is what we just talked about, I guess. Now, I have a note here, note 7, about illegal use. I mean, really all this turns on what is illegal use. And I have no idea what the scope of illegal use of the internet is. I think it's a complicated field, and a lot of people have a lot of reasonable but inconsistent ideas about what that consists of. And I think since to some extent, I mean, since the word is used in the policy, and since library staff and the board are taking it upon themselves to enforce, I do think there should be some kind of training, and I don't know if the ALA provides that kind of training about just generally what are we talking about when we refer to illegal use. Because certainly I'm sure everybody has a personal idea of what they think illegal use is, but you get into trouble when people start applying their personal ideas, especially if the staff has different and inconsistent personal ideas about what is illegal use. You end up being, the library ends up being arbitrary, and you don't want to be arbitrary. I mean, of all things, you can be shot down badly for not everyone applying the same rules and the same understanding of what those rules mean, and with the same consequences.
No, that's a really good point. And I think what I'll do is I'll try and find some kind of resource for us to go over and train and do a training of some kind. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, let me know, because I'd like to have a better understanding of what is illegal in using the internet.
I think you're gonna have a problem with that. I think basically the backstop and the protection the library has, if conduct or use is perceived as being improper, it's gonna be raised to someone. And at that point, if there's no clear line, we're gonna need to seek advice as to what's appropriate or not. Illegal is a standard you can use because it means that there are laws that cover it. If you start talking about inappropriate and stuff like that, that's rather subjective. Here you've assumed a certain standard, but ultimately the enforcement is the issue in connection with whether you're being arbitrary or doing it right. I think if there's training out there, go for it. But it's a complicated area. You're not going to be able to train your staff. And I think.
Yeah, but I agree. I mean, it is very complicated. I don't pretend to know, but I think if everybody has sort of the same general sense, that probably would be healthy, advisable. And I also think if nothing else, people walk away knowing that it's important to be consistent, that everybody in the library needs to have a consistent approach to when this question arises. or at least needs to know that it's important, it's an important issue. And if they don't feel comfortable making a decision, that they should ask Kim or, you know, I mean, it's part of sensitizing, I think, staff.
Well, I'm a little confused about it in the sense that, I mean, there's very little that is really illegal on the internet. You can do anything you want, which is kind of the nature of the internet. So it's not a matter of it being illegal, it's a matter of our not condoning this behavior while in the library because of, you know, it's somewhat subjective, you know.
Mhm.
So to me, legality isn't really the issue.
Well, it is if your policy talks about illegality.
Well, I know, but
but-
maybe the policy shouldn't. talk
But
about
I'm just
legality.
saying,
Because
you're gonna need to adopt a standard.
yes, I agree with that, but I'm
And
saying
what
that,
that standard is going to be is gonna be tough. Illegal is one standard. That raises one issue. If you start talking about inappropriate, that's sort of anything.
yeah, but a patron could say, well, it's not illegal. I am legally in my rights to do this and that. No, but we don't want you doing it here. So it is really improper rather than illegal.
That's what you're going at. I mean, the real problem here is how many times have we had this?
I mean, it's not a problem that we have, but
But it's a problem that
It
we
could
might
be,
have, and the
yes.
question is, do we have stuff in place which provides some guidance to the folks who are doing?
oh yeah, no, I
policy?
totally agree.
Yeah, no,
with that.
I think we're all agreeing. I
Yeah.
don't think there's any dispute. And on the back end, do we have some sort of process that protects us from being arbitrary?
So are the things that are most likely to come up, the types of things that we've mentioned so far, which is sort of the harassment aspect, you know, the bullying, harassing, the inappropriate sort of, use that word again.
Or no,
Yeah, and then you have the sort of the,
Probably the most obvious problem, not that I know, you're gonna be hard pressed to find who's bullying who on whatever platforms they're using, because basically no one's monitoring screen usage. If there's, people are looking at stuff that's just inappropriate, that's a possibility that someone's gonna see something. Which shouldn't be doing.
Or offense, I mean, I think the word offense is used in here. If you're offending someone, isn't that used? I'm not sure. But you know, what offends me may not offend you, so that's pretty subjective.
well, it could also be racist stuff, something like that.
Hate, yeah.
I
So
think
what,
we need to come up with some kind of just a guidelines of what it is that we're saying is appropriate versus inappropriate. What is appropriate to me might be completely different from what's appropriate to one of our staff members. And then what do we do? You know, how do we navigate that? We haven't had any of these issues at all, like that I've seen. So it's kind of.
This is true. It doesn't mean that it's not a worthwhile exercise to the extent that you can provide some sort of guidance document. And sort of like, this is what we're talking about.
Right.
And that's probably not a bad place to keep it. You're not gonna get something definitive, but you know, what's our sense?
Right. Well, just talking about it, it's trying to figure out that we're all on the same page at the very least, if not on the same paragraph.
I mean, when you talk about hate speech, that gets tough. Sexually explicit material.
Well, that is, Sandy goes into that in great detail.
Yeah, I'm just saying that that's, you know, some people find art of, nudes to be offensive.
I mean, if you open a Proud Boys site, is that offensive? You know, I mean.
right, what if you're just
What-
researching it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not censors.
Well, and we are a library.
Right, so,
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, I mean,
There must be some help with guidelines that.
I think you're opening up a huge can of worms. I mean, It just, it's a whole rabbit hole you can go down, you'll never get out of it.
It's, you're going down a rabbit hole, but it's actually useful exercise.
Oh, no, I
to
agree
do
with it.
it.
I mean, just the whole idea of, the way of seeing and and what Sandy brings up these excellent points, or, you know, what is the legal definition of obscene? And it's a lot different than what most people might think.
Actually, I have
That's on
this,
the Supreme Court.
Yeah, there's, you know, it's,
I think the Supreme Court may have said, and I'm not absolutely certain about this, that only a court can determine whether something is obscene.
Yeah.
You may bring a case, because against the library, or defend, more likely, against a case where someone is claiming obscenity, but it's apparently it's only a court that can determine.
yeah,
that.
but keep in mind, the obscenity jurisprudence is about criminal penalties being assessed against people who are publishing stuff.
No, I
This
think,
is just a use policy.
I think the usage on page 11 is basically obscene, indecent, violent, otherwise inappropriate for viewing in the library environment. So you're just saying, you know, you're putting it out there, you're not being too specific. You're just trying to give a general guideline. That's all I mean, the more, you know, as you said very correctly, Scott, the more you narrow it, the more it gets dangerous. You're asking for trouble. Although this can be ambiguous and this can be inconsistent depending on who's saying it. But you always,
Actually, I don't like the word inappropriate in policy. That is just begs for a challenge, I think, because I don't think it gives notice of why you might be punished. It's too broad, it's too unspecific.
At the end of the day, is what we're trying to do more about mediating between what, say, a patron, two patrons might find. So if somebody's sitting at the front computer looking at something that's sexually explicit that every kid and everybody else who walks in the front door can see, that isn't the proper environment to where you should view that, because
Yeah, we're not the morality police.
Right.
We're the don't
Right.
expose others.
like go to the back. I mean, I don't really,
Yeah, that's what I think too, yeah.
Take it somewhere.
yeah.
you have a
and-
computer in the corner for your shopping convenience, yeah.
Are we trying to keep an environment where people are,
Where it's
the
not
majority of people
hostile.
are comfortable to come in?
Yeah, that's
and
what I
not-
think.
Not
It
have
should
something
be
that's
about more.
I think that's a kind of censorship. I think, I think the more you try to police, the more you're assuming burdens that you probably don't want. And, maybe these issues will never arise, and that's great. But you're really preparing for that awful one incident where you're challenged.
You know what? The board can take that position. If someone is in the library and looking at sexually explicit material, I think it's not imprudent for the librarian to come back and say, you really shouldn't be looking at explicit material in the library.
Mhm.
Take it somewhere else.
Yep. Anyone
And-
could walk in, there's kids that come
and
here, they should feel comfortable.
My view,
Yep.
I would be happy to fight that battle.
Mhm.
That's not to say that that's board policy. I'm just saying that's where I land.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty libertine about it. It's not a question of, maybe people's sensibilities are very sensitive and we shouldn't protect that. But it's the same token, it's a public library, there's kids around.
Yep.
There are standards which we ought to have, which say, that's just not right to use or to do.
Well, if you review the ALA documents, I think they are prejudiced against most limitations. They're very open, and in a way, that's a very practical position, because then the library is not put in the position of being responsible for, hey, kid, there's a 5-year-old working at the desk next to yours, why don't you move that to another part of the library?
I think that's exactly right. And what I'm saying is just simply, if I had my druthers, I wouldn't be so passive about this. That's all. But that's a board decision.
So let's, I think.
Yeah, we go on. I
adjust
just,
that.
I don't know I don't know what the right place to land on that is. It just seems to me like we're a small town, it's a community library. It seems like the library should draw lines. And it may be different than what a more academic library association may view in connection with censorship issues.
Well, you want people to look at the library as a safe place where they can bring their kids, get away from that. And I think a lot of it, I mean, what's gonna happen is if you kick somebody out for watching porn, say, go ahead, go sue me and see how that works, because there's no way, a local court is gonna back up that person. Oh, I have the right to watch porn in the library. I don't think so. Even though maybe legally they do, but
Well, I mean, porn means a lot of different things.
Exactly.
to a lot of different people in front of line. I'm just saying that I shared my view, other people can disagree with
No,
that.
I like the idea that, I like the idea that it's in here. It is subject to various interpretations, but I think this wording is safe. And it's our job sometimes to say what's appropriate or not.
Okay, so we have that to mull over as we finalize that. So, let's see.
Are we at the children's use section? Because I thought it was kind of interesting when it's saying that the parent should be the arbiter of whether what the kid is doing is acceptable. And what if the parent doesn't object to something that the staff does object to?
Well, yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I think that would then go to, wouldn't it go to the Children's Internet Protection Act? So if the parent says it's fine for my kid to watch, child porn, we can say, no, it's not, because of this act that, we have to follow because of it's a law. But if our child's watching an R-rated movie, that's the parent's decision, that we have no, that's not something that we have say over.
Yeah, so that is just really a parsing of how it's worded then to make that clear, I think.
Well, yeah, I think the way that the suggestion is, where we're saying the library has no responsibility to monitor a minor's access, yada, yada, and then except as otherwise consistent with the library's policies.
Right.
So if an adult's not allowed to do it, kids are not allowed to do it either.
Right.
But we don't special responsibility to the children.
Right. It's one of the reasons that we don't say if a child wants to take out an adult book, that's up to the parents. It's not up to us. They take it out, they take it out.
Yep.
And children under 12 aren't supposed to be at the library without a parent anyway. So, or a guardian, I should say. So it would be up to that person who's taking care of that child to govern what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that.
So that's okay. The suggestion, except as otherwise consistent with the library's policy, and just remove reference to who can decide, just say the library, whatever,
Yeah.
we have no responsibility here. Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Okay, that's it.
Sorry, I wasn't shushing you. I was shushing my dog.
That's okay, you can shush us.
No.
We may be more or less obedient than the dog, though.
If you want to be a typical librarian, it should be.
I know. Not for Stephentown, though. We're the loud library, apparently.
So it looks like, in addition to finishing mulling over these suggestions to this policy, we should be taking that other look at the code of conduct to, one, make it consistent and see if we have some of the other suggestions to incorporate. from what you.
Yeah, I think that maybe the final version of the code of conduct probably should wait till other parts of the policy are reviewed also, to the extent that it impacts other policies besides the internet use policy, or in addition to the internet use policy.
Right.
And although we said it last year, I'm going to say it again this year, which is we really need to make policies a priority for this year, because we know we have ones that need to get done and we have ones that require, that are, up for review, and we should probably just really get on the stick with it this year. Try to make some progress on the critical ones. Does anybody else have any other questions before we tell Sandy she can log off if she would like?
And thank her for all of
Yeah,
work.
this is great work. Sandy. This is
Yeah,
like
very, very
interesting.
impressive.
Really helpful. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if you wanted me, well, you have to make decisions. And I guess about some of the language and what some of the sentiment is also. But I don't know if you want me to be involved further with this policy after you've made those decisions, but you'll let me know.
Good to run it by Sandy again, once we've made our decisions and weighed in and rewritten it to make sure that we're not missing something or.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I am going to be away for a while, just to let you know. Okay.
Okay, we can track you down on the internet.
Illegally, maybe.
Illegally.
That's right.
Using
We
the
won't
library
stalk you, but
We have friends on the dark web.
but people are constantly sending me reminders like, can you update me on where you are on this particular project?
Okay, everybody, good luck.
Thank you so
Thanks
much,
so
Sandy.
much.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Right. Okay, so let's just go through some of the other things briefly that we need to cover. So we won't vote on them tonight, but did anybody have any changes to the December meeting minutes?
No.
Okay. Moving on to the planning calendar. So I started the one for 2023. A couple things I just want to go over. January, we have a placeholder to reserve the fire hall for events. Haven't done that yet. Or I guess we may not have set the dates yet for all of the events, so that may be.
No, we haven't.
We need to circle back to this after we go through some of the others, but, so I have the email out for the 2 blood drives that are, we have dates for. Waiting to hear back from Tammy on the second date, as well as confirming that our deposit is still in there. I believe Kim, you did this today, but we need to post our board of trustee meeting notices on the website. So if we can have just the general one with the date, date time and the Zoom link. Great.
Wouldn't that be okay? Like if I were to just add it to the event on the website where we, put the event, can I just put the web or the notice of, the Zoom link, and then that should be enough, right? I don't need to do a separate post or anything. It can just be on the calendar.
Yeah, I think as long as it's posted on the website, that way.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'll add all of that to the website tomorrow, actually.
Do we have any times for the February 8th trustee training is that a webcast?
That is, yes, and it is always, let's see, it's 6:30.
It's really good.
How do I access it? Do you send me a link or do I
You
get
have-
around or?
So if there's a new page on UHLS, which is referenced in the correspondence, but I can send you the link. There's a whole trustee training and there's an email, who you email to sign up for that.
Okay, thank you.
We need to set the date for the annual meeting, which is in April. I would suggest April 16th, which is a Sunday and is not the Easter weekend, I believe.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Easter is the 9th. Or the,
That is the last day of spring break.
Okay.
How better to celebrate? Oh, maybe there's some other way, I don't know.
Are you suggesting we would, that won't work, or?
I don't know, Ari, are you gonna be away for spring break?
Campbell's getting his adenoids removed on Friday, previous Friday. So we will be in town. We aren't going anywhere for the end of break, but so it would be fine with me.
I doubt we're gonna be anywhere unless, we have to do some kind of a book thing somewhere, but we can just make sure we're here.
All right, so if that seems to work, we'll just put that on the calendar. I think we did 7 o'clock last year or 6. Did anybody have a preference?
I don't know, I had to get back from Fort Lauderdale early then.
Of that last year, you did?
No,
Oh, you're saying,
for spring break,
okay, spring break, yes.
I'm sorry.
I like 6, I like earlier better personally, if it's not inconvenient for people, just to.
I would prefer that as well.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, what's the date? Okay.
We usually do early, didn't we do like 4?
I remember the one that I went to was like 3 or 4 in the
Yeah, I thought it was
afternoon.
afternoon.
Is that better? People,
I like it better.
Okay.
Are we going back to a normal meeting where we invite community and have like food, or?
We invited community last year. We didn't do, I don't think we did.
We had to-
It only come if we have food.
Yeah, I'm open to whatever, but.
Right. Originally, we used to do it in the afternoon and do like some kind of food thing afterwards, but
Yeah, that was a while back, though. I think for the last 4.
I think that was just pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And since we're still in COVID, I'm all in favor of not having a big group law. Unless it's completely changed by then, which seems unlikely,
Right.
based on our experience today.
I mean, we could keep it simple and just do like a dessert afterwards, so people can talk if they want to, doesn't have
Yeah,
to.
coffee and dessert or
Yeah,
something, yeah,
that'd be nice.
So we're saying 4 o'clock or?
I like that.
I like 4.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we have scheduled the pop-up store, second round of that went live on the 16th. It'll close on the 26th. And that continues into our next item, which I apologize that we did not do this with full board knowledge and voting, but we've scheduled a Valentine's bake sale in conjunction with this. So people picking up their pop-up store merchandise purchases can also pick up some treats for the Valentine's Day weekend. And hopefully we can, have a little cross contamination there of interest.
On February 11th.
On bake
February
sales, maybe we should refer to cross contamination.
Right.
She meant
So the-
colonization.
I think the term you're looking for is integration.
Integration, there we go.
So the bake sale is on the 11th, is that what?
Yes.
Okay, so I actually have on my calendar that I was gonna have a drop-in, make your own Valentine's Day thing. So I can promote it with the bake sale and put it in the calendar. I just realized I didn't put that one in, so. When is the bake sale gonna be?
Just during
time?
hours.
10 to 3, right? 2, 10 to 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
So hopefully, people are coming to the library anyway. That's great. If you're gonna have a program, hopefully that'll all make a big to do. So if you are interested in baking for said bake sale, please let Sarah know, or, okay, please let Sarah know.
Or, well, Scott's doing, you've already said that you would bake, that you're.
I've already committed.
I'll bake something as well.
What are you baking?
I'm like, I never baked like really cool cinnamon buns.
Mm.
And we wanted to try, because I saw some recipes that I've never just gotten around to it. Or alternatively, what I'll do is probably a chocolate cupcake with a vanilla frosting decorated with candy hearts and chocolate cherries. And that struck me as
How many dozen?
Romantic.
cookies do you want?
Up to you, what you feel like.
I mean, you want bags of 3, bags of 6, bags of,
Bags of 6 of work.
Yeah, that sounds good.
okay, and
Yeah.
sell those for what, a couple bucks?
I think more like $5.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
think so,
yeah,
yeah. I can tell you how much they cost per cookie to make.
Yeah.
I'm
This is-
very
this is a fun-
scientific about it.
we abandoned have the people spend $20 to $25 in materials baking and selling everything for 25 cents.
This is a
That we
fundraiser.
decided
That
was,
didn't make a lot of sense.
yeah, we
Yeah.
just.
I just finished with
Well,
the
actually, I just.
huge cookie festival and I had to put a price tag on it.
So Richard, you're in on this?
Yes, I'm.
Oh,
in.
excellent.
And their cookies are really good, so I would charge a premium.
Well, that's between you and then the audience.
I'm more than happy to do a
I'll be
surcharge.
happy, I'll be happy.
The
to
Richard
bring-
Sarch
I roped
surcharge.
my mother into making dog biscuits. She just made dog biscuits. I'm like, make them for the bake sale.
Oh, cool, great.
I can bake something as well for the bake sale.
And I will bake cookies.
The 11th will be here before you know it.
I know. February is also when we try to post a scholarship application. I've seen Berlin posting social media posts about that they have scholarship information already, so I think we just have basic updates to that application to make, correct, Kim?
Which I can do. Scholarship.
There's talk about doing like a gathering in February, like with cabin fever.
Yes.
So we'll try to work on that sort of a new resident /
But it's not gonna be focused on new residents. We're gonna wait for July for new residents because not that many people move to
Right.
Stephentown on a regular basis. So we'll just have like a big potlucky type thing, but it may not be a potluck. Just a
Community
get
kind of,
together, yeah.
When's that?
We talked about February, so maybe
haven't
end
said anything.
February, late February, since we haven't done anything.
Like the last weekend in February or?
Something like that, yeah.
Do we have a date for Easter party?
No, not yet. Usually try to do it right before Easter. Easter's during spring break this year, so I would guess we would probably do it on April 1st, which is the weekend before Easter weekend. Isn't that what we normally do, is do it the week before?
Yeah, I think we've either done it the week before or the Saturday before, depending on what it looks like.
I'm up for either, it doesn't really matter. It's early this year, so it's gonna be cold.
That's, yeah, if it ever gets cold, but yeah. That's a consideration.
So we need a long-haired Easter bunny this year.
Shall we just say we'll do it the 8th, because that'll push it off into the month a little bit more, and it's.
I believe that's what we did last year, because I wasn't here.
Saturday before Easter.
Okay, so let's say the Easter party on April 8th,
Okay.
and we usually do it around in the afternoon, say 1 to 3.
Yeah, and I think what we did last year is we scheduled it on Saturday, and then we had like a backwards rain date of if it was gonna be really bad, and I think we ended up doing it Good Friday evening, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if that worked. I wasn't here, so.
No, it worked fine. It worked, so we can definitely have it, that kind of a thing too.
Have we gotten as far as looking at Halloween? I'm just thinking about
Whoa.
reserving the dates, just because of reserving the dates for the
Christmas.
Yes, so I would do it on the 28th, the Saturday, the 28th.
28th, okay.
And I feel like we did it a little later in the afternoon this year and that worked. Because a lot of times by then kids still have soccer in the morning and stuff.
What did we do it at 2? 2 to 5?
I mean, I think so.
Yeah, 2 to 5. So we'll do
You
2.
did 2 o'clock last year and you had 200 kids or something? So I think
Yeah.
2 o'clock seemed to work pretty well. If it ain't broke. Not that we know what's gonna be happening in October, but yeah.
And when I was sitting here the other day working, a woman came in asking about summer camp, so, raising that, and I noticed that we might have a weirdness because of 4th of July date.
Yeah, I have to look at the calendar.
That is going to be
So-
weird.
Yeah, that is. I
We should
think, I
probably
mean,
start with this.
usually we consult with the director and the assistant director to see how they would rather do it. We could start the 10th and push it back, or I don't know. Last year it was on a Monday, so we just started that Tuesday, but I don't know what's better.
I mean, if we want to do a full 4 weeks, which I think is really what the town would want us to do, we should go for the 10th and
Right,
August.
right. Right, because you're gonna deal with this the year after. It'll be on a Wednesday and, it'll just be.
I think that's what we've done in previous years. For some reason, I'm remembering it always going into August, at least the first week of August. So
Yeah. That sounds good, but we don't need to put that in stone right now, right?
No.
No.
Anything else we should be thinking ahead for, to?
I don't think so.
So.
When is your pop-up store fundraiser officially?
It's open now
Until the
to
26th.
the 26th.
Okay,
I do have a link on the website for it now. So,
Oh, great, good.
and I'll put a newsletter out probably tomorrow. And
And I sent an email to everybody who expressed an interest in the merchandise, who also provided an email address for some. And I did hear from Dan that he's gotten at least a couple
Oh, good,
orders.
okay.
oh,
Yeah,
good.
there's flyer out, there's flyers out, the front desk, and there's the sign is up at with my wardrobe up there. While we're still on calendar stuff, let me just raise something else that I want to talk about. So Kim and I went to UHLS leadership training this week, and it was really good. It was a good session. It was whatever, 3-4 hours. And there was a lot of good information to take away from it. One thing that of course has come up and mentioned in the correspondence. So we have, this year is the year where we have trustees now have to have 2 hours of training each year. And we can do that various ways. But so Upper Hudson now has a page on their site that has all of their different trustee training offerings. So it includes the what you just mentioned, Richard, the quarterly core, which any new trustee is encouraged to do those, and they are good and they are useful. They also have on-demand training sessions available, and some of them are 60 minutes, some of them are 90 minutes. There's 2, and they come to you. They will come to your library for your board, so all of the board can hear the same training. I'd like to suggest that we consider that's how we get our 2 hours for our board members this year. There's two that I think would be effective. One we heard some of during this leadership conference, which is how to have effective meetings. I think anything we can do to make our meetings more effective and efficient and all of that is a really good thing. And Mary Fellows has some really good ideas for that. And I think it would be beneficial for us all to hear them and agree to some things. The other one is, there's a lot of others actually, but the one that struck me was Finance 101 for library trustees. I think that's an area where we sometimes struggle a little, how are we supposed to do things properly, and that might be useful. Each of those is 60 minutes. So I'd like to think about scheduling those with Upper Hudson. Perhaps we can do, I don't know if people would want to do an hour before a board meeting, if these are the best nights to meet, bring in dinner.
Depends how efficient the board meeting is.
Yeah, if we get really good on the first one, if we do efficient meetings, and we can,
I would rather separate.
It's long. I mean, our board meetings should only go to.
It's just so long.
yeah, I just don't know how available it is.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying I would.
Right, so I can reach out to get some possible dates and times with Upper Hudson if people are in agreement with this, but I think it would be good for the board.
What maybe we should consider is if we do 2 trainings on the same evening,
People.
1 hour, maybe take a little break with cookies or something. And then do the second one. If
That's
they're
fine.
on.
I think that's a better idea than adding it before a meeting. I think that would be,
Okay.
that would work for me.
The cookie part.
The cookie part, yeah, that's what really got me on board, for sure.
Do people have any particular days of the week to be avoided? Evenings of the week to be avoided?
Monday needs to be avoided for me.
Wednesdays?
Here we go. Mondays, Wednesdays, okay, Richard, Tuesdays,
I can't.
Thursdays, okay.
No, Thursdays is the best in my
Thursday's
schedule.
okay for me.
Thursday is
for me
the best
too.
in my schedule. I mean, all the days.
Thursdays.
Thursday works for me. Yeah, Monday, yeah, any weekday is tricky, so Thursday works just as good.
I'll start the ball rolling. Thank you.
So that would be here, we do that.
We'll do it here,
Excellent. Okay, good.
Okay. Why don't we'll try to keep this short. Let's just go through if people had any comments, questions on the various reports submitted. So we've got Kim's report, director's report. Kim, did we get our gift card for the blood drive, or should I follow up with Gail?
I'd follow up with Gail, yeah. We haven't gotten anything that I've seen come through.
Kim, did you get a chance to look through the survey? Because yeah,
I did, and I thought I wrote stuff down that I had an idea, but for the most part, I thought it looked really good. There was one suggestion I had, and now I can't remember it. I'll have to get back to you again on it.
okay, what I think would probably be the best thing is if anybody's willing to just try taking it to make sure that it works, that would be great, and then I can clear out all the responses. So anybody that would be willing to do that, you could either tell me now and I'll send it out in a form where you can just take the survey to test it.
I can do that for you, Sarah.
Great.
I think there were a few programs in there that were like one-off programs that I was going to suggest just taking off completely.
Yeah, that'd be great. The more I can get rid of, the happier everybody will be.
Okay.
Was that Ari that said?
Yes.
Okay.
Scott, are you set for meeting with Paul Mays on Thursday, February 9th?
Yeah.
The rest of us will be good. Kim, quick question. The webinar on how to engage veterans, was there anything good from that?
It was really good. It really pertained more to people who have very active veterans groups. And it seemed like it was more based for suburban and urban areas. But they did give me quite a few websites, and there is a recording of it. So I can, if anyone wants to see it, it was short, sweet, and to the point. So I'd be happy to send that out to anybody who wants to take a look. So, you know, it gave me a couple of ideas of, you know, trying to see if we can't, how we might get the veterans group to work together, who you can contact, because there's got to be people in Albany we can contact that can say, you know, hey, the library has this to offer. Is there a way you can spread the news, that kind of thing. So yeah, so it was interesting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for including the e-content. That was kind of interesting to see.
Oh yeah, I forget that I get that quarterly, and I look through it and I'm like, this is really cool. It's very interesting to see, and then I forget to send it to you guys. So I'm going to try and continue to keep that in my report as the time goes on. So,
What's the Juneteenth holiday thing?
So that's, you jumping ahead on this?
Oh, I thought you were just asking.
Oh, I
what
was
you
just
wanted
gonna
to
go through
talk about very-
reports. Real quick.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Let's just go through the reports.
I thought you were really loosening it.
On the treasurer's report and financial report, if I could make a request on a couple things to see in that, Richard, that would be helpful for me at least, and others can weigh in.
Okay.
If the treasurer's report could just have the high level of like what our income, what our budgeted income, what our year to date, what our budgeted expenses year to date, that would be like a helpful quick
You
view.
didn't get this?
No, I got that, yeah.
Okay.
And then looking back, like right now, just looking at the 2022, it was just hard for me to read the financial reports and figure out exactly what the total was. So just to have that summarized would be helpful. And the other thing is, in that special project savings account, I know we have 3 areas that we put money in the book for, which is the painting, the repair, and the special projects. So having that broken out, so what our current totals are in those areas would be really helpful, because
I have a spreadsheet of that.
Okay, because when you go onto the website, the community, whatever the name of the bank is, they only give you that one.
No, right. So I have a spreadsheet of what each account has what like money in it. And then the other thing that I have that, so Rich, I don't want you to go and reinvent the wheel here. I have another spreadsheet that I've put together that all of the different categories that's on the report summarized. So it's income, all the major categories, and then expenses, all the major categories. And then I have what so it's for the public, so it's a little bit easier. It's just a condensed version. So if you want, I can just keep sending that out because I just redid it. So it's easy. It's really easy for me now to put together.
But don't do it in the PDF format you sent out. Was very hard to read.
I have it as,
It cut it off at the far right column.
yeah, I'll send it out as a PDF or and the Excel spreadsheet that I have.
It sent out as a spreadsheet because it took me a long time to reconcile that to the budget that I have on the workbook.
Oh, I wish you'd let me know next time
It's okay.
and I'll send you the Excel.
It was good. It was good exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was hysterical trying to match the pages. It was whatever, you know, but that was difficult. So you want, for going forward, you want more. I'm a little confused, Jen.
Sure, yeah.
What exactly are you looking? Because this is what I thought we did before.
So we have, yeah, the format was a little bit different before, a little bit more of like a high level look at what exactly
Well, this
where
is
things are. But for like when I look at the reports, the financial reports, like there's so much detail and I kind of want it summed up a little bit more. So just like the high level. So I think it sounds like the report that Kim has that sums up things rather than line by line might be
okay.
good.
I mean, we can-
Do you
we
want me to just share it with you really quick so you can see and make sure that that's what you want?
Sure. Or
That way you can take a look.
I
then it's
think what you would like is instead of each line item by section, just give a total for that section. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
yeah.
Yeah, so in other words, you know, library operations, you know, you have total, you know, library operations instead of all these little
Right,
Okay.
like I like looking at the detail to some degree to see like where those, if we're having discrepancies, where those discrepancies are coming in, but just as a quick report, it's helpful to just have the,
So you'd like about, like, yeah, just a summary of, income and, by
So-
like 400s, 4300s, et cetera. I got you, okay. All
So do
right.
you see my screen there?
yeah. can
I
your
see what
screen.
you've got there. Shoot, boy.
So
Hello over there.
does that work, or do you want it even more succinct?
Um,
I can't, is that like breaking down the
Yeah, that's-
expenses?
probably good, yeah, it's like, repairs, supplies, utilities, programming, yeah.
So
We don't
you-
need to do any, if that's what we've got, like, that's good, because that gives us the higher level.
Okay,
Line by line.
And probably if you want to add color to
Oh,
the
that's
extent
cool.
that you've got expenses that you didn't anticipate, you could highlight them in red.
okay.
Bring your attention to, oh yeah, we got this. And that was budgeted. Just,
So that
Definitely.
was the one thing, Richard, and the other one is that breakdown, just because like right now for special projects, as we're talking about the master plan stuff and what grants, what amount of grants and things like that, we kind of need to know our.
Okay, because I mean, I just went on the bank website and this
Yeah.
is what they had.
No,
so,
absolutely, yeah, the bank will have more detail, so if Kim has that, we can use that, and that would be perfect,
So there's really three, I mean, it's all one account, but it's broken into three different sections.
right?
Okay, all right.
Because we're saving for three different things.
No, I understand, I just.
Perfect,
Do you want the totals now for what's in there?
if you have, I'm sure.
So painting has 10,000,
Mhm.
repairs 5. Special projects, $36,077.
Okay. And that is without transferring 2023's dollars.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And that's also not including whatever interest we've paid, we've accumulated over 2022, because I haven't added that yet.
Thank you.
29. So.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, this is high.
29 cents. Okay, report, so any questions on fundraising report? Any comments? High level, we have exceeded our annual appeal, which is excellent. There's a breakdown of some of the details in there. And there's the plan for 2023 that we have so far, so that is in there. One thing I want to ask, we have the sponsor a teen night that we drafted up that's ready to go.
Oh,
We wanna
okay.
start to send that? Anybody?
We can definitely, I can put that, get that out there if you want to do that.
What is it exactly? What, we're sponsoring them in what?
Sponsor a teen night.
Yep.
$50 pay for the pizza and activities.
Oh, got it, okay.
That we had talked about
Yeah,
last.
yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
Okay,
We have one night already set. So I guess you could talk January, we had, gave us some money for that one, so. And I told the town board about it and they were like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. So they were on board with it.
okay, good.
I'll do one.
Go on our lovely website and we'll,
So Jen, you said you have something written up for it?
it's on the web, it's ready to go.
Oh, it is on the website.
Yeah, we just need to push it out. Okay, cool. Any comments, questions on strategic planning? Sounds like a good update. And we can put that on the agendas for April, July, and October to have our presentation, so that sounds good. Major projects, the only update there is that we're meeting with Paul Mays in February. Nothing else.
Nothing else.
I don't believe there's any building and grounds updates. Brand and marketing, anything else? You mentioned the survey.
Yeah, sorry,
anything
got
else?
jumping ahead.
That's okay.
The only things are, Kim, have you ever heard back from Ellen Cole as to the date when she wants to do the focus groups with the 80 and 90-year-old ladies?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, I wrote her and she hasn't responded, which is a little bit weird. Okay. because I wanted to be there, you know, if a date was picked. And then the other thing is, you had mentioned that when you were visiting that library in Maryland, they have that really cool color coding of flyers for teens versus adults versus, you know, for programs. And I was wondering if anything's happened with that, if you need any help with that.
No, I haven't yet because I haven't actually had any programs and I just put my calendar together yesterday. So I'm gonna do all those flyers and stuff. And
Okay, well, if you want to brainstorm about it with me as a marketing person, I would be happy to participate. If you'd rather not, that's fine too.
okay, thanks. I'll let you know.
Okay,
Thanks for the updates on the website that you've been doing, Kim. Quick question, are we able to easily share the Flickr gallery stuff like on social media? Because there's so many nice pictures, you know, that like, it would be nice to show people some of the
You know what? I don't know. I don't know a lot about Flickr, so I can look into it and see. You know what I might do though? I can give you the password to the account, and that way you can go in there and see what's on there yourself. And if you're interested in doing it that way.
Okay. Sounds good. And I have an idea to throw out in terms of the community part of this group, this committee's aspect. So next year will be the 35th anniversary. We love our anniversaries. 35th anniversary of the scholarship, if I read that correctly.
Oh.
I read the website information on the scholarship. I thought it would be really cool to hold some sort of event with the previous winners.
Yes.
Something that, because there's also several of those winners who are not people that we see in the library or from families that we don't see in the library or groups that we don't. So it might be a nice way to bring them in and something.
do you know if they're mostly still local or if they've gone off to?
Some are, I don't know, some of them I don't know who they are at all.
Yeah.
That,
I think it's a great idea if people are around,
Uh-huh.
but I would sort of expect that people went every which
Yeah,
Or
way.
something less. Less, for something less. There you go. You might want to reach out and contact them and find out what are they now, what are they doing,
Uh-huh.
and just provide a little book, which might be nice. Not very intrusive, you can get some information,
Mhm.
and it might be cool.
And if it turns out that they are nearby, then we
Yeah.
pose this great.
And if they're
idea.
interested.
Yeah.
We know Marcia's around.
Yeah,
No, I like the idea. I think I think that would be another great way to just try and draw more people in to the library, you know, especially if it's family and friends or, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'll start seeing if I can do a little snooping. Recruitment, was there any, I think we had
Yeah, I
Jill
did talk to
Curtin.
Jill, and Jill's about to become a great grandmother.
Oh,
And she is also, she just didn't feel like she could commit to it.
okay,
You talked to her about it a couple of times.
thank you for following up on that, Richard.
Yeah, no problem. She would like to, but she, right now, with a lot of stuff going on, she didn't feel it was really fair to commit.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other prospects? We do have to fill our 9th position, and it would be great if we had stuff in order for the annual meeting when we can get everybody official and everything. Scott shakes his head. Perhaps if we can all bump that up in our top of our minds to be looking for somebody again, and try.
Would Cheryl be interested?
Well, she's not an employee, so.
Can't be an employee and.
No.
On the board?
I think so.
sure you can.
Kim's an employee.
I'm not on the board.
She's not on the board. She's just. Yeah.
Wait, what did you just say?
What's that?
There's no bar to that. You can do.
Well, it was funny because when I was volunteering, they had to check to make sure it was okay to volunteer. Because Jody said, it's okay.
It's all very in these small towns, you know, you can't have too many restrictions on what people can do because everybody's gotta do 10 things. Funny. Youth committee, I think I may be tardy on getting the town contract for 2023. It looked like maybe we did it in November for 2022, so I should probably get on that. Are there changes that we want to make? To
I don't think so.
We just have to make sure that the money, it went, well, no, it already did go back because we got 3,500 from them this year. So there shouldn't be any changes. Unless we want to try and, but if we were to want to try and ask for more for the admin fee, we'd have to do it for 2024.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll just send it to you guys quickly to make sure there's nothing else, and then if it's okay, I'll send it to PJ.
And what is it again? I'm sorry.
The contract with the town.
Oh,
All right, and we covered the administrative committee, the internet policy discussion. Patty, was there anything else?
No, I have not really been doing my job.
Well, please correct that for next month. Okay, old business, is there anything old business you can bring up?
I just want to really quick, just let everybody know about one thing that happened, make it clear about one thing that we did at the Directors Association, which was to standardize all of our loan rules. So basically now the DA can't say we all have to follow these rules, but it's recommended. So the library, our library has done, we've done that. The only rule we're not following that they want us to follow is that they want DVDs to be sent out for 14 days. And we don't, that's just too long for a small library for, you know, not having everything right there. So that's the only rule that's not going to be the standard within Upper Hudson for Stephentown. So that was just one thing I wanted to make sure that was clear about. So just to let you know.
Under new business, Kim, you wanted to bring up the Juneteenth holiday?
Yeah, a lot of libraries are, because it's now a federal holiday, many libraries are now taking that or having that as a holiday as well. So I thought I'd put that out there to see whether or not we want to celebrate Juneteenth as well. It is a federal holiday, so that was one that needed to just be looked at by you guys, and if you want to give that a try for a year or two or more.
Any opinions?
It's a federal holiday, I think we should.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
So obviously we can't vote on it, but we can put it on for next time to vote on that.
Okay.
The other thing I thought we should mention, so related to this, so just, can you refresh my memory? Is our policy to follow the Berlin school for closures? Is that why we closed today?
Usually, yeah. I mean, that's generally what we do. If it's not our policy, we don't have a policy on it. It's really more just whether or not the staff and I feel safe getting to and from. So,
Okay.
but yeah, usually if Berlin closes, then we close as well.
I don't know if we sort of want to say that in our messaging ever. Like today, it felt like a day, it felt weird to be closed. You know, like it just sort of, you know, it's always a hard call.
It's a crapshoot, but when I was coming over the mountain and I was driving from Albany to the library, the reason I closed was because I was slipping all over. And I was like, and then when I was walking into the library, even though we put down ice or the ice melt stuff, still slippery, and just I didn't feel comfortable keeping. And then of course, you know, 2 hours later, it's like, oh, there's nothing happening. I'm not going to go and reopen again. But that was why, because when I was driving on 43, it was really slippery.
Okay.
So.
I think too, if you look around, a lot of the libraries and dance, like everything at night closed. So
Yeah, well,
in
that's
the
the other thing.
not just the schools.
All of the libraries and within the system, everybody informs each other. So everybody was closing early today. So it was like oh, I'm going as well. Yep, it's okay. So that was another issue.
Okay. And then I just thought we should, in case people aren't aware about the Little Free Library, what happened to it, why it ain't there right now. So
The what?
the Little Free Library,
Oh, okay,
Blew
yeah, it fell
over.
over.
yeah, blew over.
Yeah.
We have moved it into it's broken, it's got stuff to be fixed. It's gonna need to have a new base, probably new concrete floor or whatever. It's in the shed for now, so it doesn't get any worse. But we may want to think about a little specific project fundraiser for that as well. What was the other thing you were looking at, Kim? There was something you were looking at.
We were going to put up a sign outside that made it real clear that people could come in and take a book and free, and that our sale room can just kind of become a little free library while we're trying to figure that part out.
Yeah. I've been surprised. I've been working at the library relatively frequently with the annual appeal and stuff. And I cannot believe how many people mentioned the Little Free Library and missed it and wanted it and what's going on with it.
interesting.
I'm out in public, everybody's like, what's going on with the Little Free Library? What's going on with it? So it has a following.
Yeah, I've seen people take books
Yeah,
out
yeah.
fairly regularly, yeah.
That's cool. So if anybody I know that the family's not sure if is it just the money? Do they have the time to fix it if we raise the money?
I'm not sure. But the other thing too is that I was going to apply for that card, where you can use you get the $200. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get that and then put that money towards fixing the Little Free Library.
So it would be something good to do in the spring, so we get that back up and running. Okay.
One other thing,
Yes.
New Lebanon Library will be having their book sale in May,
Okay.
so we will be.
Can we give them books?
I'm sorry?
Can we give them books?
Yes. That's what I was saying. I am running that library, and we will start accepting donations on April the 1st. And they will be donated, you drop them off at the Church of Our Savior. That's where it's going to be.
Kim, maybe we should send change the message out front saying that we don't take books, but New Lebanon.
Well, also, I'd like it to say the Pittsfield Library, because we're having our sale over there in March, and we are needing donations.
Oh,
So if, you want to put the word out on that, if people want to get rid of their books between now and March, we need them at the Pittsfield Library, because we are very short of donations right now.
That's unusual.
Well, you kind of have this year during the Christmas season, it just nothing. So basically from Thanksgiving until this week, we've had hardly any donations, which is not unusual. But we also cleared out a lot of our backlog after the November sales, so we have a lot of shelf space there.
I'll let all of the staff know too, so that they can spread the word as well.
we should put it out on our social media and share too, because we don't want the donate,
No, if I would, we need it in Pittsfield,
Yeah,
but the New Lebanon Library, it's like their second year of doing the sale, and, I'm in charge of it, so I'd like to have it be, and Church of Our Savior has been nice enough to offer up their Friendship Hall to hold it. Yes, that makes it a lot easier. As you know, part of the problem is storing where you put the books in it,
exactly.
as we all know.
Cool, we'll get the word out. on that.
Yes,
That's
thank you
good.
very much, appreciate it.
Okay, anything else? All right, thank you, everybody. See you in February. Probably have a little bit of email in between to settle on a couple dates of things and follow up on some things.
When is the meeting in February?
I don't, is February the 16th.
Is it always the third Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of my organizations, the third week of the month have their meetings.
Oh, that's awful, yeah.
It
So
is awful.
It is, yeah.
Jay, you had mentioned Paul was looking for a budget for possible grant applications.
Well, the match, our match
Well,
amount.
I was thinking that, keep in mind that you make your application in end of August. A grant would be awarded in November or so. The funds don't come through until, I think, April or May. So to the extent that we develop a project that we like, there's plenty of time to raise more funds for a match. So just keep that in the back of the mind. So it's sort of like, we shouldn't be talking about cash in hand necessarily. But if there's something that provides, that's really attractive, that's something that we have time to raise money.
So
There's-
Paul just wanted that as a base, like, so he knew, are we talking a $500,000 plan? Or are we talking $100,000 plan? He
Yeah,
that's all he
fine.
wanted it for.
And I think what we had told him before.
25.
Exactly, it was 25.
Which may be on the low side, but that's okay.
Right, it probably is, but that's,
That's okay.
Yeah, depending
I was
on
just
what
saying
else-
that there's time in this room, that's all. If he came to us and said, but if you spend 15 grand more, I can get you a palace.
right.
We might nibble and say, yeah, we could do a palace.
And with that positive thought.
Somewhat
out of the
unlikely,
world,
but
let's-
hey, you never know.
Alice would fit in, Steve.
We can dream.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right.
Good night. You'll end the recording, Kim?